Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Miami Heat, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. The Phoenix Suns traded Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets on Sunday. The deal concluded a lengthy saga that began at the trade deadline when Phoenix attempted to move Durant to the Golden State Warriors without his knowledge. Even though the deal fell through at that time, it unofficially launched the Durant sweepstakes. There was no chance at repairing the relationship at that point. The Suns have known they were moving on for 5 months, and yet the deal still underwhelmed. Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and the number 10 pick represent only a fraction of the value that the Suns paid to get Durant in 2023 and do little to launch the rebuild the Suns needed. This raises a few important questions surrounding the negotiations, starting with why Phoenix would even take so little. Well, the obvious assumption here is that nobody offered more. ESPN's Shams Charania has more or less confirmed this. He and others reported frequently throughout the process that the San Antonio Spurs were not making aggressive offers. That's hardly surprising in light of their youth, but the stranger reluctance here reportedly came from the Miami Heat. According to Charania, Miami turned down the opportunity to place Jaime Jaquez Jr., Nikola Jovic, Haywood Highsmith, the number 20 pick, and other draft assets in a deal. Now, Charania is likely not indicating that every single asset listed was off of the table, but rather, Miami wasn't willing to give up all of that stuff in addition to necessary matching salary, some combination of Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, and Terry Rozier. Now, let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
I don't know why I'm fired up. I'm sad. Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. And mercifully, thank you for coming and checking out the channel. I don't know why you would, other than to bask in my tears, but talent, hey, like Beauty and the Beast, tale as old as time. The Miami Heat miss out on another one as the Houston Rockets are acquiring Kevin Durant in exchange for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 pick, and 5 second-round picks. It'll be official on July 6th, but as we are here on the day of NBA Finals game number 7, Durant not coming to the Miami Heat. He today at Fanatics Fest said being part of the Rockets is I'm looking forward to it. Crazy couple last weeks, but I'm glad that's over with. Miami Heat yet again stepping up to the plate. Big time whiffers, dude. And this chase of Durant, which has eluded Pat Riley basically since 2016, continues to come up empty as the Miami Heat did not want to part with a lot of their pitches. They made multiple offers. According to ESPN, the Suns trade conversation focused on the Rockets and the Heat in recent days, but both teams showed unwillingness to part with young cornerstones like Jabari Smith and Reed Shepard and Kel'el Ware in the Durant deal. The Heat made multiple offers for Durant, but ultimately turned down the opportunity to place Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, Haywood Highsmith, the number 20 pick, and other draft assets in the deal. That is from Shams Charania. According to local reports, the big sticking point was Kel'el Ware. It said from Anthony Chang, the Heat improved its initial offers for Durant, and that offer received serious consideration. Okay, great. Glad we had serious consideration. Put a banner on it. Miami Heat were in serious consideration for Kevin Durant. In the end, the Suns chose the Rockets off. Kel'el Ware was a big sticking point in the Heat negotiations with the Suns. According to the league source, the Heat was reluctant to include Ware in its offers, and that roadblock in negotiations helped the Suns pick the Rockets trade package. So there you go. Kevin Durant is going to the Houston Rockets. He is not going to the Miami Heat. I don't have anything to spin this for you guys with the Miami Heat. Like, look, I felt like the entire way it had felt like the Miami Heat getting Kevin Durant was predicated upon their willingness to part with Kel'el Ware. It was a hard decision to make. I understand that. I think if I would have kept a lot of my draft capital with Jovic, I think I would have been willing to do it. And that is a guy in me who is a huge Kel'el Ware fan. I like Kel'el. I love the warehouse. I'm excited to see his Heat career. I am glad that career is continuing. But this stink bomb being laid over the day of the Panthers parade, by the way. I was live today from Lulu's Bait Shack with my boy Hockman and Solana. We were, broadcasting the Florida Panthers' second straight Stanley Cup. I was really excited about just celebrating the cup. And instead, what I was left with was a Scud missile, which was just bleh. And that is Miami being left without their go-to guy. And look, I heard all the arguments. I don't even know if I disagree with them. The ones who said, is Kevin Durant a difference maker? Does Kevin Durant move the needle for the Heat? Anybody who's saying no, it's not something I could on its face just disagree with. But I think today is just a standing of where they're at, which is no matter what you think of Kevin Durant as a final piece, the piece, where he's at, the dude, can he be the dude? Can he be a needle mover? No matter what, these last 3 summers have been spent with just empty chases, whether it's for Damian Lillard, Kevin Durant, Spida / Harden, whatever. We do this little flirtation dance, and Pat Riley comes up empty. He's like standing on the outside slider. He's a big whiffer, and he's just got nothing to plate anybody home anymore. He just doesn't. And from my standpoint, it's not so much about, hey, does Kevin Durant skyrocket the Heat in the East? I don't know. But what I do know is anytime this guy is left with a preferred star on his destination, and he's had 4 of them at the very least over the last few years, he's landed 0 of them. 0. And all this talk, aging star, if it's the right fit, if he's humble. So I don't even know I don't know what plan B is. I don't know what plan B, C, D, E, and F. I don't know what it is. From my standpoint, you don't land Kevin Durant. You look, in my perspective, okay, you don't land Kevin Durant. I don't know how much to believe in the whole, it could have been Jaquez, Haywood, Jovic, and the 20th pick. And that would have, and another first round pick, likely. Would that have gotten it done outside of Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and the 10th overall pick? You're talking about 10 spots in the draft. You're talking about a player who's a little bit more established than any of the guys. The Heat. I don't think that the Heat's offer really could have sniffed that without Kel'el Ware, which is why I go back to, once the Heat were unwilling to deal Kel'el Ware, it very much felt like, well, that's over. They're not going to get Kevin Durant. As much as they were in the noise over the last few days, they really weren't. They really weren't. And, from this standpoint, they got to figure out where to go. To me, at this point, there's no Zion, there's no Ja, there's no Giannis. Lauri Markkanen, is that the way to go? DeMar DeRozan, I know, is the obvious one. We're all going to go to whatever. Good. Go get DeMar DeRozan, dude. Tip of the cap. Won't hate him if he's on the Heat, but if you think that's going to get anybody's juices flowing, you're sorely, sorely mistaken. And in all honesty, you should just give the offensive keys to Nikola Jovic. You just should. let him be your point guard, your point forward, whatever. Let him figure it out with Tyler, with Khalil Bam. Make your team a little bit weird and interesting. And let's see what that ends up being. But this another whiff just thrown at your table while you continue to leave your fan base feeling empty, feeling hopeless. That's what it feels like. It feels like the fan base wants so bad for you to come through with them, and it just feels hopeless. That's what it feels like. And look, there are plenty of fans who are like, Kevin Durant is that, but you just want it. Can you just win one bid? One. Dame wanted to come here. Couldn't do it. Drew Holiday, you already screwed up with the GM. Couldn't do it. Spider Mitchell, didn't really want to get involved in it. You thought Tyler was too good. James Harden, you pulled your hat out of the ring. Kevin Durant. These teams, also in the bidding, were begging anybody else to come along. Did you want to do it? No thanks. We're not giving up Khalil. And look, this is not an indictment on Khalil. I really like watching Khalil Ware play basketball. I really like Nikola Jovic. I love Bam. I love these guys. But man, to put a jolt of lightning, any type of age that star is around your team, could you do it? All too often, the common answer has been no, you can. So I don't know what the fan base is supposed to believe in. We'll go here on Wednesday night. We'll make a 20th pick. Does this mean the next pivot is Kuminga? Does it mean it's DeMar DeRozan? I don't know. Does Giannis actually want to leave? And this is where the Heat were keeping their beak dry. They didn't want to, I don't know. But I will say, this is probably rock bottom for Heat fans ever believing in the franchise, pulling off a real acquisition. Color me shocked. It'll be a long time before the Miami Heat fan really, really believes in the front office getting it done. And that's earned. That's earned because right now they're in a spot where, dude, you couldn't even get an aging whale. Not an orca, not an old ass.
Folks, Kevin Durant has been traded, not to Miami. He is going to be a Houston Rocket. The Rockets ultimately win the bidding for KD just hours before the NBA Finals Game 7. And this is a heartbreaker, I think, for Heat fans. Some Heat fans might be happy. I'm not. And I think this Heat team would have greatly valued from getting Kevin Durant, and I think they could have topped the package that was ultimately agreed on between Houston and the Phoenix Suns. The overall trade package was the Rockets receive Kevin Durant, the Suns get Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th overall pick on Wednesday night in this draft, and 5 second-round picks. That is not that strong of a package. Yeah, that 10th overall pick is pretty valuable, but I'm pretty sure Miami could have topped that if they want to. Instant reaction and more coming here. But this is why you subscribe to the channel, because we'll cover everything Miami Heat, and we'll talk about what's next for Miami in the rest of this offseason, because I've got some thoughts coming up here. But make sure you do subscribe. We'll be live on Wednesday night for the NBA draft as well. All right, so my initial thoughts when seeing this package get reported by Shams, I just felt disgusted, honestly. Jalen Green sucks. I'm sorry. Maybe people like him. He's not a good basketball player, and he's not a conducive player to winning. The guy doesn't defend. The guy, I know, was his first playoff go-around, but was borderline unplayable in that series against the Warriors. I mean, he had one good game. The rest of the series, he was playing 15, 16 minutes because he couldn't be on the floor. Dillon Brooks is not a needle mover, and if the main return that does anything for Phoenix here is a 2025 first-round pick, I get it, it's 10th overall, that could be beat. I want to know what the Heat's final offer for Durant was more than anything. I have not seen it come across my timeline, or I have not been told anything. But man, even without including Khalil Ware, they could have topped that package without mortgaging the future. They could have easily done a Jovic, Wiggins, Duncan, and 2 first-round picks. And I think that's a better package because Jovic is a good young piece. You would have gotten salary relief to where they would have been able to get underneath the second apron, underneath the first apron, and underneath the luxury tax by waiving Duncan Robinson. And Andrew Wiggins is, maybe I am undervaluing Dylan Brooks here. I think Andrew Wiggins is better than Dylan Brooks. So it's like, do the Suns really value Jalen Green like that? Do they believe Jalen Green is going to help Devin Booker and Bradley Beal? Like what are we doing here? Like, maybe the Heat's offer just really was that bad. I don't know. It's hard to tell when hopefully it gets reported. We'll break it down, but my goodness, I just feel like the Heat could have topped that package, and now they have to look elsewhere to upgrade the roster, if they even will upgrade the roster this offseason. We know there's other rumors out there. We'll get into them here, but I had to react to the news. Let me know, are you upset that the Heat didn't get Kevin Durant? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Well, the Heat fans in my mentions and YouTube comments consistently telling me how dumb I would be to trade Khalil Ware for KD. Well, you get your wish. Khalil's going to stay here. And it's not that I am disappointed that Ware is going to be here. I love Khalil Ware. I think he's going to be awesome. I just think that if you could have traded him, Wiggins, and Duncan for KD, I think you should have done it. Would the Suns value those 3 players and no draft capital more than Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 10th pick, and 5 second-round picks? The second-round picks really mean nothing to me. I mean, those don't change anything in my book anymore. But listen, Khalil Ware is going to stay, and I'll say this. There's not a player that could come available in the offseason unless it's Giannis Antetokounmpo that could ultimately pry Khalil Ware away from Miami, and Giannis is not going to be traded. So there's that. If you're thinking of what could be next for Miami, there's been a lot of buzz about Demar Derozam being a fallback option. There's a lot of buzz about a sign and trade with the Warriors for Jonathan Kuminga being a fallback option. And I know a lot of Heat fans are going to ask in the comments about Ja Morant and Trae Young. I do not think Ja Morant is going to be traded. If he is available, then I would absolutely be interested. But it doesn't sound like Memphis is going to blow up everything. They just kind of want to retool around Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja, and that's why they traded Desmond Bane last weekend. And Trae Young, I don't think fits Miami. Him and Tyler Hero would be a disaster. Are you trading Tyler Hero for Trae Young? I don't know. It's just a tougher conversation. So in my eyes, I think this is going to be a very marginal offseason at this point. Like, there will not be seismic changes to the roster without making that deal for Kevin Durant. Because you're not trading a lot for DeMar DeRozan. And I want this to be abundantly clear. I said it on a show this week. If the Heat trade a first-round pick for DeMar DeRozan, I will be having the crash out of all crash outs. That would be such a bad decision. If Pat Riley traded the 20th pick for DeMar DeRozan, I might have to fly to Miami, go outside the Kaseya Center with pitchforks and riot signs. That would be such a bad decision. So Pat Riley, whoever in the Heat front office needs to hear this, please do not trade a first-round pick for DeMar DeRozan. If you want to trade Rozier Jaquez and a second or 2 seconds, go ahead. Do I think it's the best decision? No, but that is a actual fine offer in terms of value. So do not offer a first-round pick for DeRozan. I'm also not sold on Jonathan Kuminga. I'm not. I don't understand why the Heat would be interested in adding Kuminga to this core. I'm actually a JK guy, believe it or not. I've defended him in the Chat Sports office when he's gotten a lot of critique and a lot of hate. Is he a smart basketball player? No, but he's got a lot of good talent. He's got great athleticism. He's got size, and maybe the Miami Heat would get the best out of him. But if you did that, what are you offering to the Warriors in that sign-and trade, and what are you giving Kuminga for a contract? Like, I'm not giving him $20+ million a year. That seems aggressive to me. So I don't really know what would be next for Miami here. I don't really want Derozam. I really don't want Kuminga. I do not think John Morant would be available. So to me, the way this offseason is heading, in my opinion, is for the Heat to take a gap year. That's what I think the best case scenario is for Miami. I would maybe look to even offload Andrew Wiggins. There's a team out west, apparently in the Lakers, that could be interested in Wiggins. If a team wants to trade for Andrew, I would, as long as you are not taking salary past this upcoming season, because you are now on track to have a lot of cap space next offseason. And I know free agency isn't that important anymore, and not many people hit free agency, but having that much cap space would also allow you to play facilitator in a lot of different trades to maybe upgrade your roster. You give Hero, Bam another year to see if they can be top 2 guys in the East. Probably can't. I think we've seen that story. But you give another year of development to a Jovic, another year of development to Kel'el Ware. You keep the 20th overall pick. You draft at this point. If we'll kind of talk a little bit about draft targets to end today's show. But at this point, I'm probably looking to swing a little bit bigger here in the draft at 20. If we don't have to complement win now roster with that pick, I think you got to try to swing for the fences and a high upside guy with that 20th overall selection. And then you just see what happens with your young core this year. It's probably going to go very, very bad. You're probably going to be a play-in team again, and you have your own 2026 first-round pick next season. It's unprotected in a draft class that projects to be even better than this year's, with a 3-headed monster up top with Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, Caden Boozer, and AJ Dembasta. Like, those 3-4 guys are incredible. So we'll see what happens there. But I think that's the best plan of action for Miami. And I know that's going to be a very boring thing to say, and it's unfortunate here, but I really do believe that the best course of action for Miami the rest of this offseason is not to panic, not to oversell, and just take this kind of year off in terms of making big moves. I know a lot of people are going to go out there and throw another name, Colin Sexton. He's not a needle mover. Nothing changes there. He's a good fit next to Tyler Sher, but to me it sounds like the Heat just might run it back. And as many times as we've run it back with the roster, I think this time it might be the most justifiable, because it's not like they are a move away from winning a title. You're like multiple moves away, which is why if you trade for Kevin Durant, I always said this, you're going to have to make more moves as well to complement KD, Bam, and Hero. But obviously that's no longer in the wing. So let's transition and end out the show, since we are about 3 or 4 days away from the NBA draft, and the Heat have the 20th pick, and I doubt they move it between now and Wednesday night. We'll see, though. Hopefully they don't, because I don't know who would be available to trade in that time frame. I'm looking at Nolan Traore. That's my guy. I don't know if he's going to be there at 20, but I've kind of come to the idea that this is the guy that I want the Heat to ultimately draft. He is a 6'3 guard, 6'8 wingspan from France. So with shoes on, he's 6'4 and change, 6'5. He's got great size. He is the quickest player in the draft. Unbelievable first step. He can get 2 feet in the paint at will, which if you could get your point guard 2 feet in the paint, well, then your offense is going to be quite successful. He projects as someone that can defend, too, due to his lateral movement, his wingspan. He just needs to improve his jumper. Didn't shoot it well for San Quentin, but had it a 30% usage rate over the last 2 seasons as a 17 and 18-year-old professional in a pretty solid France league. Played really well, was a projected top 10 pick coming into this year's draft. Then just kind of got passed up, a little bit of a down year efficiency-wise. I think he's going to be a really good pro. I would love to have him in Miami, have him develop. A couple other guys I'm intrigued with. I've talked about Nick Clifford, but I think he's not going to make it there. I also think he's more of a win-now piece, but I would still take him because he's that good. Rasheer Fleming is someone that I really like. I got to be honest. I don't think he makes it there. Same thing with like Traore, to be honest, but Cedric Howard from Washington State. I'm all in on Cedric Howard. He reminds me so much of Jalen Williams from the Oklahoma City Thunder, the way he just gets to his mid-range, is able to play off ball, 6'5", with a 7'2" wingspan. Only played in 6 games this past year, a little bit of an older prospect. Got hurt with a shoulder injury, but he's completely fine now. I just really like Howard, so if I had to rank my top 2 guys, I'm trying to swing for the fences, man, with that 20th pick, because at this point in the Heat's build, you're not getting out of this mediocrity unless you somehow draft a player that ultimately has top 20, top 15 player in the world potential. Not to put Traore and Coward in that realm of that they have that, but if you're picking at 20, it's pretty hard to find guys that have that ability, and they do. It would take a lot to go right, but their physical profiles, their play style, and their positives do point towards that being in the realm of possibility if everything goes right. So those are my 2 guys, but we're going to continue to break down Miami Heat news and rumors all off season long. Be live on the draft Wednesday night, and we'll have more breakdowns on when things pop up, whether it's Kuminga, Derozam. Either way, tough to see another superstar that was linked to Miami get traded to a different team for a package that I did not think was that good. And that's my final word. I don't think that's a good return for KD. I understand that teams were lowballing.
A proposed trade scenario involving the Miami Heat and Sacramento Kings caught fans' attention this week. The trade suggests sending Duncan Robinson, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and Pelle Larsson to the Kings in exchange for Demar Derozam. The idea was shared on social media by Heat Lead, asking fans, "Who says no?" Miami Heat UK responded, "Can't find the vocabulary to explain how dumb this would be." The reaction reflects the sentiment many Heat fans expressed. Robinson has been a long-tenured shooter in the Heat's system. Robinson helps the offense with his shooting and spacing. He's been a steady piece in the rotation. Jaquez Jr. just wrapped up an impressive rookie year. Fans like his growth and potential. Larsson is still new, but his all-around game stands out. DeRozan brings experience and scoring. He's known for his mid-range game, but fans worry about his contract and how well he fits the Heat's defense. Many noted the age difference and long-term costs involved. The reaction on social media leaned heavily against the move. Fans questioned the value exchange, pointing to the loss of 2 core rotation players and a promising young guard. Some described the trade as one-sided, citing DeRozan's age and declining three-point production. At this stage, no reports suggest the trade is under actual discussion between the franchises. The scenario remains speculative and a topic for fan debate. It has, however, highlighted the growing support for the Heat's young core and the hesitance to break it up for short-term gains. This online response shows that while DeRozan is respected, many Heat fans would prefer continuity over risk. And you, fan, what do you think about DeRozan's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.